Hello, everyone. This is Beastly Eel here, and in today's episode, we're going to be talking about the latest episode of X-Men 97. So this starts off right where the last one ended, which is apparently another Jean Grey makes it to the X-Mansion. So Beast is doing a lot of tests on the Jean Greys and trying to figure out what's going on. Well, it turns out one of them is a clone. And shockingly enough, it's not the one that came through the door at the end of last episode. Apparently, Beast was able to figure out that Jean, the one that came through the door, is the proper age she's supposed to be. Whereas the Jean Grey that they've been working with since this season had started is somewhat new and only potentially a few years old. And because of that, is apparently a clone and has all the memories of Jean Grey and no idea how exactly when she was assimilated into the X Men group. So she's starting to basically freak out, the clone, stating that she's Jean Grey. She has all these memories. How can you say, how can you say that I'm a clone? Well, she goes upstairs with her son, and that's when we find out that she's a clone, yes, but a clone created by none other than Mr. Sinister. And Beast was able to figure out that it was Mr. Sinister's signature after really going in depth into the clone of Jean Grey's DNA and realizing that there was only one person that could have created such a thing, and it happens to be somebody known as Mr. Sinister. So the Jean Grey the clone of Jean Grey is trying to fight Mr. Sinister's hold on her. But in fact, he embedded a red crystal inside her skull or forehead that would have him be in complete control of her. And that's when she becomes the Goblin Queen. And she then starts to go ham on the X Men. She uses her psychic abilities to manipulate all of them into thinking the worst is happening. Now, during all of this, Magneto and Rogue are not in the area. So we have we have basically the Goblin Queen grabs her son and takes off to go deal with Mr. Sinister, while the rest of the group is trying to figure out what they're going to do. And that's when Jean Grey, the real one, uses her telekinetic and telepathic abilities to release everyone from their mental prison um, so they can finally realize what reality truly is. They now try to figure out what they're going to do to stop um, Mr. Sinister. So Morph, luckily, realizes what's going on and knows where Mr. Sinister is going to be. So Magneto and Rogue are back, and they decide that they're all going to go after Mr. Sinister. So they get there, and they're attacked by none other than the Goblin Queen. Along with that, we also have Morph being manipulated again by Mr. Sinister into being against the X Men for even just a slight amount of time. So they begin to fight each other. During this, Magneto tries to go after the Goblin Queen, where he's actually losing, surprisingly significantly, I'll say. During all this, Mr. Sinister is trying to put Nathan in a green magical bubble. I guess the best way to put it. And during all that, we see that they're all fighting and everything else, and eventually they're all realizing that they're losing, and Jean Grey is the only one who could actually defeat them. And Beast is like, "You can't leave." And she goes, "I'll figure out a way. I don't need to leave the building to be able to do this." And so she uses her psychic abilities, specifically the fact that she's linked with Cyclops, to be able to go in and go inside the mind of the Goblin Queen. To basically show her that she's in full control of herself and that she's the powerful one. That she doesn't need Mr. Sinister's control to be powerful. So because of Jean Grey's help, there's a huge sequence of Goblin Queen seeing the past and the fact that neither one of them are sure exactly which one's memories are whose, but the idea is that they're seeing it together and witnessing it together, and that in the end, the clone of Jean Grey is the mother of Nathan Summers, and because of that, she needs to be the one to protect him. And she breaks her hold of Mr. Sinister. She breaks free and tells Scott that the two of them need to save their son together. And the two of them go down and fight Mr. Sinister, beat him to a pulp. He escapes, obviously, and they get their son back. But the problem is their son was infected with a virus, a potentially technovirus. So, during all of this, they get back to the mansion trying to figure out what they're going to do. Beast can't figure out a cure for him, and the only way they can think of to do so is for Bishop to go back into the future, bring Nathan with them, and um, use the technology that's in there in the future to save their child. So that's when the clone of Jean Grey basically tries to put a message inside of Nathan's head about how much his parents loved them, and that the only way that he could have a great life was without them in it, because he needed to be saved in the future. Beast fixed the time bracelet and brings him and Nathan to the future. And that's when we have the clone of Jean Grey leaving and Jean Grey trying to convince her to stay. And that's when the clone of Jean Grey says she is Madeline Pryor. Call her that, and that she's going to leave. And that is the best thing for everyone because they both have felt each other's memories and they both know that they've wanted to leave for a long time and have a fresh start. And this is her chance to. And that is how the episode ends. So we get a lot of things here. So we have the introduction to the virus that turns Cable into Cable. We also have the clone of Jean Grey, which was introduced in the comics, um, where it was also called Madeline Pryor. And I believe she was also the Goblin Queen at one point as well. First being controlled by Mr. Sinister, and then being released into the world. I don't know how long she lasted in the comics, to be honest with you, but I do remember that she existed. So that's an interesting point in itself, right? So we have all that going on. So that's one of the big things here, and the fact that we just see the dynamics of the characters, and we also have Forge meet up with Storm to basically state that he might find a way to get her powers back. And that is how it truly ends. Overall, I thought this episode was great, beautifully executed. We got introduced to Cable in a way that has not been done before. And we're not even positive it's still Cable yet. There's still the potential of it being Strife, I think is how you pronounce it. It's the evil version of Cable, or X-Man. So based on this, though, it's looking like it's going to be more like Cable, based on what we've seen so far. But overall, very much looking forward to seeing where the rest of this season's going to go. Um, I know there's not a huge amount of episodes left. I believe there's only 7 left, but a lot could happen in a short amount of time. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. Overall, let me know what you guys thought about this episode in the comments down below. Did you like it? Did you not? And why? And as always, if you like the content you see, please make sure you like and subscribe. Other than that, this is going to be Beastly Eel signing out. Have a great night.